Welcome everybody to Christian Warrior Training. I'm Keith, and in this episode, we're going to talk about the pistol brace ban and how Christians should handle it. Now, on my other channel, 2A Cops Supporting Gun Rights, I laid out that I did not think that this was a constitutional order, or not order, but rule, and that I felt that it was a trap. I didn't like how the registration process was going, but I've had a lot of questions from Christian men asking me, knowing that I'm a Christian, what are you going to do as a Christian? I'm going to be very clear with you. Now, if you're not a Christian, you may not like what I have to say. So with that said, it's essential to note that as Christians, we're called to obey the laws of our land in Romans 13, 1 through 7. So as long as those laws don't contradict God's commands, Acts 5:29, then Christians are encouraged to be law-abiding citizens and submit to governing authorities as it is God who has established them. And you could also look at 1 Peter 2, 13 through 17. Now, I know a lot of you are going to bristle at that, but hear me out. Okay, let's go all the way through this, all right? So the Bible also teaches that Christians should be peacemakers and live in harmony with others. It's in Matthew 5:9 and Romans 12:18. But it's also important, let me get all the way through this because I know a lot of you guys aren't going to like this, so hear me out. So it's also important to remember that the Second Amendment is a man-made law. Now I'm going to go into this more, but stand by. So while the laws of God are eternal and divine, so therefore, if there is a conflict between the two, Christians are to prioritize God's laws over man-made laws. So if someone genuinely believes that the ATF pistol brace ban is an unjust law, which I do, and I've made that perfectly clear, we can use legal challenges to take care of that. And we have been. There's several lawsuits going on right now. So this could include contacting your elected representatives, which I know a lot of people have not done that, filing a lawsuit, which we have done, and participate in peaceful protests, which I have done, and you should too. Now, when I brought this up in a YouTube short, a lot of you were bringing up Luke 22:36. In that passage, Jesus told his disciples, "But now let the one who has a money bag take it, and likewise a knapsack, and let the one who has no sword sell his cloak and buy one." So it's important to note in that passage, which a lot of you quote, and I agree with some of what you're saying, it's important to note that the passage needs to be understood in its context. At the time, Jesus and his disciples were about to face intense opposition, and Jesus was speaking metaphorically, urging his disciples to be prepared for the upcoming trials and persecution. Furthermore, while Jesus did allow his disciples to carry swords, it's worth noting that he also rebuked Peter for using his sword in self-defense, saying, "Put your sword back in its place, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword," Matthew 56:52. Now, regarding the Second Amendment, it's an earthly law established by the United States government, and it's not necessarily a command from God. However, the Bible does recognize the right to self-defense in Exodus 22, 2 through 3, in protecting oneself and others from harm. So with all of this said, here's what I'm going to do. And here's what I'm going to recommend you do too as a Christian. Wait until the last possible minute before you do anything. You have 100, I want to say they gave us, this whole thing is so screwed up, but they gave us 120 days. At a day 119, if none of those lawsuits come through with some kind of a temporary restraining order, which I think is going to happen, okay? I think that it's some point in between, a court is going to tell the ATF that they're in overreach because they are violating case law, EPA, or West Virginia versus EPA. Also, I think it is not with our traditions of gun control. So I think it also violates Bruin. But with that said, you have 120 days from the time they came down and put that down. I'm waiting till day 119 before I take any braced pistol that I have and configure it into a legal method. I am not going to register because I think that registration is a trap and it bothers me and I don't like it. I do have one firearm that showed up on a YouTube video, and it was a very popular one, and a lot of people saw it, and it was a braced pistol. That one, I already registered it, going through the regular method. I paid my $200 and I went through doing a Form 1. Why did I do that? I did that because I exposed myself on video and I put myself at risk. People know I have, the ATF knows I have it, and I am going to risk, somebody coming in and double checking on that. So I registered it doing a Form 1 because I don't trust the free method. The free one, a lot of people are saying, I'm going to go get my free tax stamp. There are so many things that can go wrong with that. I am not, and number one, ATF can't say don't pay the tax. Only Congress can. Okay. So there's so much wrong with this that goes against American law. But you have to remember, those are earthly laws. We are commanded to act under God's law. And the Bible made it clear. So I don't want to sin. I don't want to violate God's law. I do think this is unjust. I'm waiting to the last minute. 119 days. I've got 2 braced pistols that I am literally, all I got to do is take the braces off and I am clean. And that's what I'm doing. But there's lawsuits. I think it's going to die a slow death in court. Okay. Have it out in the comments, man. I know that this is going to upset a lot of people, and I get it. But if you are a Christian, remember to abide by God's law. Okay. Forget what the ATF is doing. Just the Bible's pretty clear. And I've told you what I'm going to do. For my ATF agent that's listening, you know what I'm going to do. So leave me alone. Don't come shoot my dog. All right. Do me a favor. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit follow. I plan on putting this stuff out as much as I can. Go ahead, hash it out in the comments, my friends. I'll talk to you later. Always be caring. Remember your ABCs. Always be caring.